Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are truly honored to be standing in front of you here today. We are the American University of Beirut, and it is the first time we compete. We are proudly representing Lebanon. Now, the interesting thing is that the internet is now the world just passing around notes in a classroom. And now all the cool kids in that classroom have one main mission, connecting everyone and everything. The coolest kid, though, they call him Facebook, is now threatened by Tencent, another cool kid in that class. And today, the AUB consulting team, Maya, Hirag, Jad, and myself, Danya, are going to present you a strategy to help Facebook maintain its growth, maintain its competitiveness, and remain the coolest kid in this global classroom. So the main issue for today is how can Facebook eventually secure its global network in the face of Tencent international global expansion? Our solution is defend and attack. And now we're going to show you how.
Now, it's very important to consider the industry that you are in. So if we want to analyze the external environment, we have some main players. One of them is Facebook, of course, Tencent, but we also have Baidu, we have Alibaba, we have Google with YouTube, we have Microsoft, and they are all in the general environment of the data organization industry. Now, more specifically, in that industry, we have the social media industry. In that industry itself, Tencent has introduced WeChat. We have also Snapchat. We have Facebook, which merged with Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. They also acquired MSQRD to improve their their offerings for the social media industry. Now, another industry that we can consider is the gaming industry. We also have Tencent and we have Facebook, but Facebook introduced other gaming platforms. Some of them are Crash Candy. In addition to the gaming industry, we also have the VR industry, in which we have, for example, Lenovo, HTC, Samsung, and other major players. One of them is also Google. It's very important to consider the huge opportunity that we have in these two industries. So the virtual reality industry has been growing at a compounded average growth rate of 90%, and also the gaming industry itself has been growing by 20% from 2014 to 2015, so it's a huge opportunity for Facebook. Now, finally, we should consider also the transportation industry and the fintech industry, in which we can create a lot of synergies. So we have Tencent, which created synergy with Didi Juxing to provide additional services to its clients. Also, Facebook partnered with Uber and PayPal to offer more valuable services to its platforms. Although we have to consider that in the specific industry, we have some regulations that were imposed, especially from the US, on Facebook, which disadvantaged Facebook on the global world in comparison to Tencent, which thrived given the encouragement from the Chinese government. Now, it's also very important to analyze, conduct a benchmark between Tencent and Facebook. So their main markets in which they operate, Tencent operates mainly in Asia, mostly in China, whereas Facebook operates globally, but not in China. And this, as we said, puts it sometimes at a disadvantage because the US sometimes holds some regulations that might disadvantage it. Also, considering the financials, so to their revenues, they're more or less the same. But Tencent has 11 billion revenues, whereas Facebook has 10, and they both have more or less same profit margin, 30 and 20%, 29% respectively. Now, their main platforms, Tencent has WeChat, QQ, and Qzone. The biggest is QQ, and Facebook, the biggest is Facebook itself, so the platform, and it also has WhatsApp. Now, the data sourcing, so from where does these two giants get their data? So it's crowdsourcing, and it's very important to consider the importance of the network effect in that industry.
Now, as my colleague Maya already mentioned, Facebook, Tencent, and other competitors, they have several areas of operations. And in order to decide which areas to focus on, we arrange them according to fintech, VR, AR, chat, globalization, and the internet business. And we had 4 criteria, which are growth, revenue, 3 criteria, revenue, cost, and growth. They're arranged according to priority. So after weighing them, we decided that it would be best to focus on fintech, VR, AR as the areas of focus, especially that Facebook is already engaged in that business and there is further space for development. So as we introduced, our strategy is going to defend, then attack. We are going to defend through customer retention, and we are going to attack through customer acquisition. So starting with the first dimension, which is defense. Defense through customer retention. How are we going to retain Facebook's customer and show them that we have what it takes to become the leaders in the industry? So first we have to show them that we are going to add value. So our customers have to see the added value in our products and in our offerings. This is going to happen through a virtual credit card and through partnerships in order to ensure customer loyalty and sustainability in the long run. So what do we mean by virtual credit cards? A virtual credit card is going to be a product offering by Facebook. So first we're going to further develop the partnership that we already have with PayPal. And this is going to be through the Facebook credit card, virtual credit card, is a resemblance of a credit card, a virtual credit card that integrates you as a customer, all the credit cards that you have in a virtual application. So this would enable you to have payments on any platform that you want. You can even have partial payments using your different or distinct credit cards, and this will be free of charge. So why do we want that? What does Facebook get from that? First, you would get the user transaction data, which is extremely important since you as Facebook value data so much. Second, you would have a new platform for advertisement, which is also a main source of revenue for Facebook. And of course, this would reduce the gap between you and your competitors to the product offerings that you have and you will add. Now, the partnerships. In our strategy, we are going to focus a lot on partnerships. So partner, partner, partner. First, we're going to start with Uber, partnering with Uber. What does Facebook has to offer? Why would Uber want to partner with you? First, you have a great and a very big global user base. Second, this would be free increased marketing for Uber, so who would say no to that? And of course, this would eventually increase the exposure of both Uber and Facebook. Now, what does Facebook want from Uber? Increased user data, as we mentioned, we stress on data so much. Also the ability for customers to order their Uber through the Facebook application. And third, to make the virtual credit card a new payment channel that can happen even if you do not order your cab from Facebook.
Now, I'm going to talk to you a bit about our second stage of our implementation strategy, which is the attack phase. Now, we suggest you attack Tencent by focusing on 3 main criteria, which are augmented reality, virtual reality, and a home system. Now, what we suggest to do this is because it will increase your monthly active users, which is very important for Facebook. You will increase your customer base, as well as increase customer loyalty, and increase your revenue per customer. Now, the first pillar is the augmented reality, which to focus on, we suggest partnering with Google. Now, why do we suggest this? It's because you, as Facebook, have a lot to offer, such as customer preferences and user data, social networks that can be put and projected on an augmented reality device so that people who are walking down the street can then see their social networks on the street. I can see that my friend John here has a birthday today, and I can wish him happy birthday. Moreover, you can offer community engagement, so you can show preferences from people where they like. You can show them that John's Pizzeria is 1 minute away. Now, what Facebook wants from Google is their proprietary Google headset, in which you can then use your preferences on that headset and project it to the customer. And we want to integrate Google and Facebook searches so that if someone were to search for Google's Pizza, for John's Pizza, they can do it using both Google Maps as well as Facebook technology. So essentially, we're asking you to create a new visual experience for your customers to enjoy. The second stage is focused on virtual reality. Our main suggestion is partnering with EA as a gaming company. Now, why do we want you to partner with EA Games? First of all, you have Oculus technology, and mainly you've been focused on providing user experiences and user moments in life as virtual moments. However, the future of virtual technology lies not only in moments, but also in gaming and in other uses. So what Facebook has to offer EA is the Oculus technology, as well as user data for them to create preferences for their games and prioritize what games to create, as well as having a large dedicated user base. Now, what you will benefit from partnering with EA specifically is the Oculus-specific VR games, as well as many EA games that they can offer on Facebook. Now, the next step of this partnership would be focusing on VR live stream games that EA has. As the gaming industry is growing very large, you'll be able to gather another dedicated segment of live stream games focused on VR technology, as opposed to current live streaming. The third stage is the home appliance stage, or the home system stage. What this will do is integrate all of your services as well as Google services into one bundle. Now, a lot of other companies have similar systems, but what you have to offer as Facebook and Google combined gives a very unique value proposition. So you'll be able to pull information from both Google, Gmail, Hangouts, and Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, all from one home device that will then allow you to communicate with other people in your community as well as with your community itself. This will increase user connectivity among users as well as with their environment. This will allow you to combine the network effects of Google and the network effects of Facebook. So the engineering of the device will be handled by Google, whereas the programming will be handled by Facebook. And this will allow you to turn Facebook into an everyday necessity of life. Now I'm going to walk you through the timeline because the timeline is very simple and it allows you to help visualize how this will take place. In the first 6 months, you'll be developing your virtual credit card, which will allow you to retain your customers and prevent Tencent from going more global. At the same time, you'll be establishing your partnerships with Facebook, Uber, EA, and once those partnerships are settled, you'll begin focusing on augmented reality with Google and virtual reality with EA. Now, since the technology is in place, all you're really doing is combining your synergies, so we believe this is possible within 6 months. After the augmented reality partnership launches with Google, then we suggest focusing on the home system. And we expect this to take place over a year before the product rolls out. Now my colleague Hug is going to walk you through the financial aspects.
Well, how are we going to quantify all this, the new products, etc.? So first of all, Facebook's revenue from 2015 to 2012 to 2015. We can see that the revenue growth is there, but it is decelerating by 2015. And the main revenue stream, which was desktop advertising, that's decelerating. Meanwhile, mobile advertising, as by 2015, constitutes the main bulk of revenue. As well as as our forecast, we will see the VR industry and the AR industry. We can see that the AR industry, it's mostly taking the bigger share by 2020, and it has more growth compared to the VR industry. So as my colleague Jad mentioned, we will focus on the VR industry by the partnership, but also the main focus also was on AR because of its huge potential, and it has more potential than the VR. So before quantifying the revenue, we had some assumptions. So we assume that the revenue growth from mobile ads will decelerate, but will decelerate from its huge growth. The dollar from desktop advertisement will continue to decline. The new revenue streams will contribute approximately 20% of total revenue by 2020, and all the analysts' forecasts and projections for the AR industry and the VR industry will materialize by 2020. So Facebook's forecasted revenue with their current plan, not with our strategy. So their current plan, of course, they bought Oculus, they're developing a lot of new products, so we believe that they will, of course, continue to grow and develop their own system. But we also believe that the revenue will slowly decelerate and reach and grow 10% by 2020. And the new revenue streams that they develop will be approximately 15% of total revenue by 2020. However, with our strategy, the data that we calculated indicates that the new revenue streams will contribute more to total revenue, and total revenue growth would be much higher comparing to Facebook's current strategy. No, that's this. So as my colleague Jad mentioned, the new revenue stream, the difference between our strategy and Facebook's potential strategies, constitutes in the new home set, the new VR partnership with EA, and the new AR partnerships. So, for example, in 2017, as my colleague Jad mentioned, we will develop the new virtual currency, the new virtual credit card, and the revenue will kick in mid-2017, and it will contribute $200 million. So that's the difference between our strategy and Facebook's potential current strategy, the revenue difference. For example, in 2018, in January 2018, the AR and the VR partnerships, they will materialize, and they will contribute approximately $1.5 billion more in revenue than what we think Facebook's current plan will do. And we also assume that by 2020, we wanted to be conservative because the augmented reality and virtual reality, they're very new industries, and we don't have any tangible data as to how big they can be. So we want to be conservative and assume only that in AR by 2020, we'll only have 5% of market share. And from VR, we'll have 10% of market share because we currently bought Oculus and we're more developed in that market compared to AR. So, to sum it up, the blue line is the Facebook's projections, their current strategy, where will it yield? Of course, they'll make almost 35% in $35 billion in revenue, which is of course very good. But in our data, in our revenue forecast, in 2016 and 17, as you can see, they're very close, they're very similar, but with our new partnerships and plans, we believe that the revenues will diverge, and Facebook's revenue doing our strategy will continue to increase and reach approximately 40 billion in revenue. So in total, in 2020, our data indicates that our plan can yield almost $5 billion more in revenue than Facebook's potential plans. Of course, no strategy comes without risk. The main risk is, of course, the industry disruption. As we know now in tech, a lot of new companies are popping up, a lot of new startups. We already have Snapchat, Facebook, and a lot of new Chinese tech companies that are, let's say, disrupting the industry. So how we mitigate the industry disruption? We mainly diversify our revenue stream, which is what we are currently planning on doing. And of course, we try, let's say, not to imitate, but see how the new features of other companies are performing, and we can try to create some, or in worst case scenarios, acquire some. As you know, you acquired WhatsApp, you acquired Instagram, and they've been working really well. Instagram has been bought for $1 billion, now it's turning 4 times more revenue. Other risks, of course, are, let's say, the increased internet regulation now with privacy, etc. And in the US, privacy is like one of the amendments in the Constitution, so it's a very big deal. So this could be one very big risk, is that we violate people's privacy, especially with our partnership, with our potential proposed partnership with Google. So this could be one area where, let's say, we can face some issues. And what we're going to do is hire legal specialists, and so let's say they can tell us legally how much we can filter news, how much we can potentially sell data, how much data can we use without violating people's privacy. Other risks, of course, are let's say basically cybersecurity. Now we've seen a lot of companies such as Home Depot, Chipotle. A lot of the data has been being breached, and of course we don't want our users to think that their data can be breached and used by potential any other competitors or the government, etc. And how we'll mitigate that is we'll partner with cybersecurity companies. As we know, cybersecurity is a booming industry, and by partnering with them, especially with a company that detects an attack, not just prevents it, detects an attack before happening it, we believe that the solution can mitigate the potential risk and privacy breach.
Now, the case has a quote about Shakespeare taking from the stream of copying. Now, Shakespeare also has good advice for you. He tells you that all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their entrances and their exits, and one man in his time plays many parts. Now it's Facebook's turn to play many parts. Thank you. We're open to questions.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. I wonder if we could start talking about your home device. I'll be honest, I was struggling to really understand what you really mean by a home device. Is this another thing other than a phone? Is it a computer? Can you just maybe give me a bit more explanation of how that's all about?
The device is going to be similar to Amazon Echo and all of the current trend of having one universal device being present in your home. So by having this device in your home, it will be able to use speech recognition, such as using the Google proprietary technology, similar to Apple Siri, and it will be able to detect what you want, and based on your own request, it can then do what you ask of it. So the idea is that it will be able to connect Google's voice recognition as well as their advanced technology and engineering, and be able to offer users information that can come from both Google and Facebook at the same time.
Does my iPad do that already?
Your iPad does that only for Siri. It won't be able to do that for Facebook and Google-related technologies.
Okay.
I'm interested. We've heard Google quite a number of times in the presentation. How should we be partnering with them?
By partnering with Google, because both of you are in an industry that has fierce with competition, we're ensuring mutual survivability. Both Google and Facebook are in an era of technology where both are subject to technological disruption and emerging competition, especially out of the region from China. So by partnering with Google and sharing your technologies and synergies, you're ensuring that both of you will be able to survive into the next phase of the tech industry.
If they fail, if this partnership doesn't work, our whole strategy could collapse.
The partnership with Google only applies to two different aspects of the strategy. There are also the aspect of the credit card wallet, as well as virtual reality. I may have downplayed the virtual reality aspect in the presentation, but the virtual reality aspect is a large segment, as well as not only focusing on gaming. The virtual reality aspect, by becoming a leader in it, you'll be able to not only obtain gaming clients, but you'll also be able to obtain military contracts and hospital contracts to provide simulations for learning experiences. So the US will be able to pay for the Oculus Rift technology. You'll be having lots of sales on the units as well as for the simulation, so that their troops can combat in a safe environment with the realism of a gun, as opposed to a paintball gun.
That's for the that's for partnership.
That's for a partnership with EA to develop the simulation, and you will be developing the Oculus Rift.
Should we just acquire EA and try and replicate this in
The problem is the gaming companies that are large enough to provide feasible solutions are too large for Facebook to acquire at the moment.
Basic question. In your approach, when you're in the case study, do you think that Facebook is feeling threatened or you're using this as an opportunity to grow?
Well, in any industry, especially in a tech industry, all the major companies are at continuous threat. So in order for them to achieve competitive advantage at all times, they have to think that they can always do more and always innovate and create. So we were using the term threat in order to show that even though Facebook is currently a leader, however, that shouldn't stop them from creating more and innovating more in order to sustain the leadership position.
And then slightly different question. You spoke about the potential revenue growth of the company, but did nothing based on your initiatives, how much it would. Did you consider what is the cost of deploying all this? Because I'm assuming revenue is just a top line. If you think about what would be the impact on the bottom line by all the partnerships and development costs.
Well, since most of our partnerships are profit sharing, in partnering just for partnering, the cost wouldn't add up because it's profit sharing. And of course, we assume that the profit margin, which my colleague Maya mentioned, is in the mid-20s, that will be sustainable by 2020.
But it's not like these partnerships are cost free, right? I mean, maybe it is. Are they cost free?
No, they're not. I mean, cost free as in they won't cost us anything to, let's say, pay to EA Electronics or to pay to Google, because let's say the partnership with Google, there's nothing tangible, let's say, to buy or do. It's mainly because those tech companies, their main value, it's in their intangible, it's in their goodwill. So that was our main
So
assumption.
presumably you'll be building systems together to make sure it all works. You've already talked about, as a lawyer, very pleased Steve won't be spending lots of money on lawyers. We'll be later about that. These costs, they could be quite significant.
Well, in terms of the potential revenue that they can make, which was that you can make based on our own projections, which was around 40 billion, the cost for us was between, let's say, 500 and 600 million tops. So in terms of, let's say, how much it can affect and potential revenue, that's not as much, and the profit margin will stay the same because our partnerships will increase our profit margins. So the increase in profit margins from our partnerships minus the decrease of the cost, we will, let's say, reach the same profit margin eventually.
Okay. I have a question about your revenue streams. Now, currently, it's very heavily advertising based. You have identified some new strategies, but isn't it still all advertising based?
No, the thing is that one of the new revenue streams will be focused on selling the Oculus Rift headset. So that will be an entirely new line of sales, as well as the revenue sharing that comes with any games sold on specifically for the Oculus Rift. Another line of revenue stream will be the augmented reality headsets. So there will be revenue sharing with Google for every headset they sell, or for monthly active users, there will be some revenue sharing with Facebook.
And thanks for that. Do you have any concerns partnering with these companies or any others that being linked so closely with someone that your fate then is conjoined, and so if they have reputational issues or financial issues, that the Facebook brand and the Facebook financial performance could also be adversely affected?
Well, as we saw from previous partnerships that they were working very well. For example, Tencent acquired 30% of Activision Blizzard, which is a competitor to EA Electronics, and that partnership has been working very well. So we believe that based on that, and of course the gaming industry is a booming one, especially the consoles and how much gaming is being sold, gaming product. So based on that, we believe that the partnership with AI would materialize. And of course, even Google has partnerships with Twitter concerning big data, and they're open to that because Google's main revenue stream is from ads, and that has been declining for the last 3 years. So even Google would benefit doing partnering with us because it will reignite their growth and their user base.
And do you think there could be concerns on a competition law perspective with two such big, powerful companies effectively clubbing together, and couldn't that cause trouble with regulators?
I think that would be an issue if the areas of operation were similarly aligned, but from what we saw, there's very little overlap in any area of focus between Facebook and Google. So most of the issues that Facebook and Google are tackling, they would not have a majority share in any focus, such as alternate reality or virtual reality. There are enough competitors with enough market share for that not to be an issue.
And if I may build upon my colleague, the industry as a whole, the technological industry, it's always fragmented at the beginning, that it becomes more consolidated. So even though it will shift towards more consolidation, we're sure that it will shift back to fragmentation because we always have innovation, we always have new startups coming up with new ideas, so it's kind of dynamic more than static.
Well, one issue that we felt is important to address about Tencent being a very aggressive competitor, trying to achieve globalization, is the fact that our customers and human beings as a whole are resistant to change and in general are resistant to foreignness. So our entire user base is accustomed to Facebook. They've been using it for several years, and by offering them the bridging gap between what Facebook offers and what Tencent offers, we're ensuring that they will choose to remain with us and that the gap between changing from Facebook to Tencent is smaller. At the same time, the main focus of the social media platforms is to achieve a network between you and your friends. So while all of your friends remain on Facebook, there's no incentive for you to change to Tencent.
Do you have a China strategy?
Our China strategy was focused more in the future years after we've established ourselves and developed growth in virtual reality and alternate reality, because the China strategy involves a long-term plan in which it would possibly take 5 to 10 years of diplomacy and relations that we can't focus in such a short time period due to the volatile nature of the industry.
And if I may add to my colleague, we will of course have beta versions of testing the censorship tools and what's acceptable there, what's not, because as we've seen, a lot of companies such as Sina or Baidu that have been penalized by the Chinese government because of the content they publish or what they can or they cannot. So we do more and more research in that, more censorship, and of course deploy more algorithms that would fit into that.
Thank you.